Hey, Sunshine. Welcome and welcome back to the Soulful Sundays podcast. This podcast is designed to have a little bit of free flow conversations, have a little bit of heart to heart, but also we're going to intertwine and weave in some crochet and crafts and DIYs from time to time. So, if you please, go ahead and pour your favorite drink, grab your favorite whip, and let's get comfy and cozy, and let's get into today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the many ways that I have been changing things around me and within me to continue on my journey to self-empowerment. And through that journey of self-empowerment, I'm also able to evolve with who I am and who I want to become. I'm able to evolve the things that I'm passionate about and all of the things that I care about. And in turn, like a domino effect, basically, I get to elevate not only myself, but I also get to elevate those within my community. And not just any community, but a community that I have chosen to protect and cherish and love and put my time and energy into. A community that is willing to support me for being me on my journey. We reciprocate the love that's needed, especially in a time like it is now with the way the world is working. It's crazy. But the biggest thing for me with all of the empowerment and involving and elevation that's involved through all of it, I'm always going to remain unapologetically authentic in my path to my purpose and my power. Growing through all of this, I'm able to acknowledge, nurture, appreciate, and celebrate the priceless wisdom that has been bestowed upon me. And through that, I'm able to build upon all of the things, again, that I choose to protect and cherish. And that's my precious pets, my precious clients, my precious peace, all things involving my business and entrepreneurial leadership growth. It's definitely invaluable, so to speak. And it's just something that I cannot keep to myself. I have to share this with the world. I know it may sound corny, but like, to be for really real, like if I don't, I'm saying like a lot, but we're good. If I don't share this with the world, I'm a selfish individual, and I don't think I could be selfish with all of that knowledge. I know I don't know everything, and I'm not the be all do all for all things life and how to become a better person. But at the end of the day, I do have a lot of experience and I have a lot of things to share. So this is it. This is me sharing it. This is what we're doing. So moving along, let's go ahead and jump into the next thing. So diving right into it, some of the things that I have to do first in order to create a space to absorb change and be accepting of that, I have to definitely take into consideration, why is this change necessary? Is it for a personal gain, whether personal development? Is it for a selfish reason? Is it because I'm trying to help solve a problem within myself or for someone else? Is it that I have no other choice other than to adapt and evolve and, move along with the change that is coming? Because if not, you may not survive in a way. So I'm definitely taking a lot of those things into consideration. I've got to realize, where did I come from? What knowledge did I have to work with? Where am I at now? What choices can I make? What control do I have over my own situation? And how can I further apply that so I'm not just out here moaning and groaning and complaining that things aren't going my way, that the world seems to be falling apart because I'm not taking, I don't know what you say, inventory, I guess, of what it is I'm actually doing and why. So again, going back to the change of it all, understanding what comes through empowerment, I have to, like I said, think back to the things that I've been through. So for example, growing up, I definitely was not raised in a household where dealing with therapy was a thing. And in a lot of Black communities, therapy just wasn't discussed at all. We don't go to therapy. We work out our problems literally by just working our lives away. We don't acknowledge that there's differences in the way our brains are made up, you know? So growing up, it was a lot of anger and frustration and emotions that we didn't understand or couldn't describe. Like my default mode was set to fight. Don't know if you've ever heard of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses when you're under stress. And any stressful situation, it was automatically a fight for me because watching my dad, the way he moved in life, the way he treated other people, the way he treated my mom, my brother, myself, it was not a space to learn and grow. It wasn't a space to understand all that you're dealing with. It wasn't a space to acknowledge that there's internal and external factors that are contributing to all that you're dealing with. So, considering that as a young child, at one point I was removed from the home because my dad was abusive to me and my brother, and they felt my mother couldn't protect me. So, dealing with those things as a child, to feel unloved and unworthy and unprotected, um, going through life and getting older, I definitely went through a lot. I experienced several occasions where someone, on three different individuals, on three separate occasions, attempted to take my life. Some by bullet, some by knife. I know that kind of rhymed, but and thinking of those experiences along with the numerous of times being in jail for driving on suspendeds after I accumulated 4 DUIs before I was 21. We'll talk about some of these things in later episodes. Hold your horses. I know it's juicy content. But anyways, so yeah. So with all of those things considered, like, oh, and getting expelled from high school, my gosh, I went to kid jail. I remember writing this script and doing this outline, and I completely blocked that out. That's interesting. Anyways, that's what we're here for. So yeah. So again, with that being said, there's a lot of things that I have to consider as to why I want to change who I am, what I want to do with this change, what I'm willing to do to change, and a lot of it definitely has to start with some self-reflection in there. So another situation that I can also take into consideration from my past and how I would want to be different. With all of those DUIs that I had to attend rehab on several occasions, and that was definitely tough. And some of it was by choice, and some of it was not. But that journey in and of itself was definitely a battle. It definitely had me sit down and realize a lot of things beyond the surface level of low-key blaming other people for the reasons why I did what I did. So, yeah, there's another situation to consider. How could you not feel unloved, unworthy, disempowered, lost, indifferent, confused, terrified? Like, all of those things, all of those emotions I definitely experienced. And at this fine ass age of 33 years young, I am putting my 10 toes down. I'm standing 10 toes down when it comes to making an active and intentional choice about who I spend my time with, about who I'm intimate with, about the conversations I'm having and who I'm having those conversations with, because not everybody deserves to have every conversation about every subject. And I'm understanding more and more my worth when it comes to the things that I choose to put my energy towards, whether it's unhealthy food habits, unhealthy addictions, because some of y'all may or may not know, your girl is 3 years sober come January 5th from alcohol. Hey. So yeah, been there, done most all of those things. And like I said, at this fine ass age of 33 years young, Baby, let me tell you, choices look beautiful on me, you know? Choices and control and boundaries. We'll get into that a little bit later. So, yeah. So aside from just, taking inventory, what have you, and reflecting on what I've been through and where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to grow through, I'm also making sure that I take time to appreciate all that I have and all that I am working towards. Some of those things include, again, like my precious babies, like my dogs are my world. Being able to work with them and my precious pet clients and their pet parents, it definitely creates a sense of worth. I have knowledge and authority in a place that I never thought I would ever be. Never did I ever think I was going to be in the grooming industry or the pet industry alone. Like, it wasn't in my thoughts. But at the very least, being helpful and working with others was always something I've wanted to do. So it only makes sense that at some point in time, when I thought I didn't have other choices, this choice came along. But being able to grow and see the paths of love that can be created from nothing when working with my pets, and then translating that into a language that other people can understand, and then they can therefore apply it with their own lives, that brings me so much peace. And it's empowering, basically. But not only that, it goes into feeling empowered to apply those things to other parts of my life. If I can learn to work with pets that don't speak my language, if I can communicate with them in a way I never thought I was capable of, I can absolutely do that with myself. I'm the hardest on myself. I am my biggest enemy. I am my biggest downfall. I am my biggest setback if I let myself be that way. But having a way to heal in a way that's like, you can't just always have the answers to it. There's not always an instruction manual. You don't have all of those things in front of you when it's time to really change shit. Like, when it's time to connect with yourself, it hits different. It definitely hits different. So I really appreciate my pets, my clients. I appreciate being the creative being that I am and being able to crochet the pieces that I crochet. Like, it all started when I was expelled from high school and I went to a group home, future episode conversation, and some 14, 15-year-old girls that taught me how to crochet. Didn't really do much with it back then, just passed the time. But when my brother passed away in 2015, I had to figure something out because I was also on house arrest at the time. So what I would normally do is drink. Couldn't do that. I definitely had to figure something out. And so I whipped out some yarn and hooks and pulled up some YouTube and got to it. But through that exploration of just trying to figure out how to find peace in all of that chaos and uncertainty and unknown things to come, like, it built a sense of worth and empowerment. There goes another one. But anyways, like I said, there are so many things that I do to try to focus on what would truly feel, look, sound, smell like empowerment to me. And I also apply those things, try to tap into my senses when it comes to, what does it look like to evolve? What would it look like, feel like, smell like, taste like, to elevate yourself and others and all of those wonderful things. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next subject or main point. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the next little section of this conversation. This is about how I'm using my self-empowerment to evolve all that I already am. Some of the things that I'm doing and honestly, like, absolutely enjoying, as hard as some of these things may be sometimes, I'm continuously finding ways to learn, whether it's through leadership classes, entrepreneurial classes, learning about, pet behaviors, also learning more about grooming techniques and things like that. I am attending expos, I'm attending Black business markets and art markets and all sorts of different events that allow me to practice the things that I've been looking to implement into my life so that I know I can have some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to come to me. Roadmap. To track what I've been doing, knowing where I'm coming from and where I'm going. So I'm continuously learning, and some of that is being a part of those, conversations in the community that you typically wouldn't be a part of, whether it's being at powwows, going to certain cultural festivals, attending certain events, whether it's weed events. I also attend those as well. And I learn something new every time. And it's not just a bunch of potheads or anything like that. It's like real people who are passionate about different things within their lives. And learning from people like that and seeing their passions, it kind of ignites things within myself. It reminds me why I choose to do the things that I do, as unique as it may be for my specific situation. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people cultivating marijuana. There's a lot of and I might have to bleep this so I don't get in trouble on YouTube or anything else. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyways, there's a lot of different people involved in those things, but we all have our own unique journeys and paths as to why, and our starting points as to why we decided to go the route that we're going. And it's something that I feel must be done. You have to be in different spaces that you're going to be around people you may not always agree with. I've done things through Leadership Douglas County, the Kansas Leadership Center, with the Black Brunch series. I've been in those spaces where you literally have to sit across the table from people that you're like, oh, you're the reason why. Oh, you run oh, okay, I get this. Wait, what did you just say? I know he didn't. All day long for hours at a time sometimes. But part of that is understanding you have to put a lot of your personal perspectives aside, because sometimes you do have to realize, in order to evolve, you have to realize and be accountable for the ways in which some of your habits and tendencies and thoughts and perspectives and views can be harmful to others as well as yourself. If you're not willing to get real uncomfortable in those situations, you're not going to grow and evolve into the person that I'm hoping you want to be, that you're striving to be, because only you know who you want to become. I know who I want to become, even if I don't know how to articulate that to other people sometimes, or even to myself. Like, I genuinely am working diligently every day to make sure that I'm progressing in something that I didn't yesterday. Whether it's leaps and bounds or whether it's baby steps, like making sure that I am aware and conscious and intentional with all of those things as I move really brings a lot of these phases of my life full circle. So with that being said, let's move on to the next section of this conversation. Also, before we do get to the next part of this, I do have to say, I highly support therapy. I can understand it can be expensive and things like that, but please do what you must to try to seek therapy if you can, if you're in a position to do so. I feel like that is a very crucial step in a lot of this, in all of this conversation, is to seek professional assistance in understanding who you are and how your brain may function, and bringing some type of understanding and open-mindedness, I guess, to what's possible. A lot of us are stuck in our heads a lot, and it's really hard to get out of it sometimes. And I think it's important to have someone who is not just a friend, a family member, a coworker that you kind of gossip with. Like sometimes it can be helpful. Don't get me wrong. You got to have your circle. But at the same time, I think it's very important to make sure that you're not just expressing and discussing some of these situations and all of these situations with people who aren't really there for your progress and healing, but really just for the attention and, I mean, misery loves company kind of thing. But therapy, yes, I recommend therapy in my opinion. Find somebody you can vibe with, and if it don't work and you have the option to, please move on. Don't sit in a therapy session with somebody that you don't agree with, especially in this day and age, because I've definitely heard people having to fire their therapists over the crazy things that they believe in and support, if you know what I mean. But also, again, find somebody you like. If it doesn't work out, move on. But that, with all of that's being discussed today, I feel like is a very, very crucial thing to implement if you can. So yes, seek therapy. And while we're talking about this, matter of fact, I need to go schedule my therapy appointment. It's been a while. So yeah, let's get back to the video. I just have to say, from the bottom of my heart, if you're still here, to a zilly and beyond, thank you. Like, oh my gosh, we've made it this far together. This is a together thing. This is what it's all about. We don't have to do all of these things by ourselves. We don't do everything by ourselves. We're okay with asking for others to help. We're okay with, just needing a shoulder to cry on and just getting through the ugly-ish. But either way, anyways, point being, thank you from the bottom of my heart to a zilly and beyond. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, before you go and we finish up this last little part, I want to ask you all to please meet me in the comments at the end of this video. And please put in the comments what it is that you're willing to implement into your daily, weekly, monthly routines. What are you willing to do to implement the necessary changes to fulfill your vision of empowerment, to evolve and therefore elevate not only yourself, but those you choose to cherish and protect within your chosen community? Meet me in the comments at the end of the video and let me know all of that, okay? Let's get to it. Okay, so last thing. We're on the stages and phases and the rounds. See what I did there? If you crow, you crow. But we are in the stage phase round of elevating. What is it that we've done to empower ourselves, to therefore evolve ourselves, to therefore elevate ourselves into who we are now and who we continuously become? What is it that will really get us to that point? I believe, in my whole heart, with my whole chest, I truly believe that a lot of that comes from, again, I might sound like a broken record, but what they say, a clock is right at least twice a day. If it's broken, don't matter. Even if it don't make sense. Point is this. It's a matter of being authentic and vulnerable and setting those boundaries. Told you we'd come back to it. Setting those boundaries with intention and purpose, and knowing when the right time to do that, and when the space is available to do that, and with whom to do that. I don't even know if I used with whom correctly, but it sounds good. Sounds good. Anyways, to be authentic and vulnerable for me, what I've had to do, again, speaking back to all of the things that I've had to do to evolve, which is being out in the community and stuff, in order for me to further elevate myself and therefore others, I've had to be authentic and vulnerable when starting a conversation. A lot of the people in these spaces that I frequent, now that I am changing who I've been or known to have been, they've seen me grow up. They've seen me be the little badass kid, to no fault of my own, because I was a child and I did not have all of the guidance and resources and support that I truly needed. And that's not even no fault to my parents. They did the best they could with what they had. However, moving along, being open to speak on those things in a space of business and entrepreneurship, or like I said, some of the art markets, or any type of event that may not necessarily warrant that conversation in that moment. When I'm interacting with people who have seen me grow up and who are kind of familiar with the struggles that I've had in my household, with how my dad was abusive and an alcoholic and all of those things, being the first person to acknowledge, like, hey, I know I was a little butthead growing up, but this is what I'm doing now. And when I see just their faces light up, oh my gosh, I cannot tell y'all what that feels like. I really cannot tell y'all what that feels like. It's a level of reassurance and empowerment that I've so fiend for, not necessarily. I've really been needing in my life, to honestly go through my entire life feeling like I'm the troublesome teen, that I've been labeled as the angry black woman or the angry black kid. I've been labeled as nothing but just a useless individual who does nothing but cause trouble, wastes her good talents and education and smarts on doing stupid shit. I got 4 DUIs before I turned 21, and some of those were literally 7 days apart, and getting suspended and expelled from high school for getting into physical altercations with not only security guards, but police officers, getting into physical altercations with other grown men. And what's crazy is through all of that, people know those experiences that I've gone through, and they still find the grace and the space to gift me in order to be like, yo, you're doing all of these amazing things. I'm so proud of you. It's fucking dope. It's fucking dope. Either way. So being authentic and vulnerable to start off, that causes those chain reactions, or those, moments where they in turn can trust me a little bit more, knowing, or not even just trust me, but also they're excited for me. They're rooting for me. They're also seeing how that can be applied to themselves. Like, oh crap, they've gone through so much crazy stuff in their life, but now this is where they're at. They're running a business, regardless of how sometimes disorganized and chaotic it can be. I'm doing this all by myself. I'm running a business. I'm trying to be an entrepreneur. I'm trying to constantly be in a state of learning and acceptance and being open-minded and just doing all the things that I can to be a better person. And when other people recognize that in me, especially when I'm struggling to recognize that in myself, some days are better than others, but when it comes at the times that you least expect, man, that shit just, it hits you right here. It hits you in your heartstrings, my boy. Girl, they, them, whoever. It hits you in your heartstrings. It does. So I definitely, I really do try to be as authentic and vulnerable in the right time, spaces, and with the right people as much as I possibly can. It's definitely opened up so many unique and mind-blowing and jaw-dropping conversations and points of realization that, again, further led to trust and acceptance and motivation and determination of where we can now, as individuals, bring ourselves together to create a community to support each other. But also, with that being said, the other point that I want to make when it comes to this stage and phase and round of elevation is setting boundaries. You've got to set boundaries. Like I said, knowing the right place, the right time, the right people to have those moments of authenticity and vulnerability it matters. Setting those boundaries will allow you to still have the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional bandwidth and capacity to do all of it, all of the things that you want to do. If you're too busy allowing people to walk all over you, say yes to every situation, just all of those crazy things that just distract you from what you truly want to do, all of the things that are draining your time, love, energy, and resources, like them boundaries will move mountains to make way for what it is you want to do. Set those boundaries, as ugly and as fucking lonely as it's gonna get. And I mean, it could get real fucking ugly, real fucking lonely, real fucking quick. As long as you understand you may have those moments, continuously moving is not going to be a problem. Like, you're going to find those moments, like I say, like, when the storm calms and the clouds roll away, there will be no more shade to your shine. Now, I made that up, but still, let them clouds roll away from the storm. You know what I mean? And you can find the sunshine. You can find the rainbows. You can find the brighter moments in some of the darkest days, in some of the darkest weeks, months, years, all of those things. But regardless, being authentic and vulnerable and setting those boundaries will definitely allow you to get to the point of the stage of elevation, I guess. But again, like, I'm not the expert in all things life and how to move and function, but like I said, some of the things that I've mentioned before, with the abuse I experienced as a child, with all of the time that I spent in jail, getting DUIs, going to rehab, people attempting to take my life, like all of these experiences, losing my brother, all of these experiences have like changed me to become a totally different person. Hi, Pookie. Come on, Mama. It's definitely changed me to become a different person. So before we go, my very last thing I wanted to share with you is this really cool poem that Google Gemini created. This is not sponsored, nothing like, but it is such a cute little outro, so I have to share that with you. So let me pull it up for you. My lovely pup is coming into the room now. So here's a poem from Google Gemini, which is AI, so it's kind of cute. This podcast, a thread where souls intertwine, sharing stories both bitter and fine. With crochet's rhythm, we've woven our way through laughter and tears, come what may. Now as the sun dips and the day draws to close, we bid adieu, but the connection still grows. Carry the spirit, this essence within, a reminder of love where true growth begins. Until we meet again on this digital shore, may your heart find peace and your spirit soar. Embrace your authenticity. Let your light shine. Unapologetically yours, a masterpiece, divine. Until we vibe again, I pray you keep your peace, love, and creativity. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of the Soulful Sundays podcast. Peace.